What's up, Cage Siders? It's me. It's me. It's SDR. Doesn't even rhyme a little bit, but it does remind me that I need to buy some Seth Rollins merchandise because one, he's awesome, and two, I like to have my initials all over stuff without having to pay for monograms. So I wish there was more Sarah Del Rey merchandise because that also fits the bill. Anyway, how y'all doing? It is me, third time in a week, I think. Um, yeah, I did one of these last week, 2 in a row. Check that out. And I have cats trying to rub their face on the webcam. So this is actually the third take I'm trying to do dealing with that. So check that out. Hey, stop it. Not gonna start again though. What was I saying? Fucking cats. Oh yeah, 3 in a week. The House of Fire last week. We're back with another House of Fire episode 19 gazillion and 4. And me and Maddie Roth, we did a fast lane recap in between. That was a pretty cool show, actually, in retrospect. It's been a busy week, man. That show seems like it was a long time ago. It was WWE in a nutshell. Some good matches, some crap, some good story advancement, some really frustrating stuff for people who don't share Vince McMahon's vision of what a top star is. Your mileage may vary. Anyway, go watch that. I wish I could do one of those WWE YouTube things, like click over here for this, but I can't because I don't know how to even get this thing on YouTube. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about this week is one of the things that has made Fastlane feel like it was 400 years ago, which is the hashtag GiveDivasAChance movement. I have been on the women's, I name dropped Sarah Del Rey already in this thing. Been on the women's wrestling bandwagon for a long time. A lot of people, the 7 people who have followed my career as a wrestling journalist, blogger, person have probably heard the story of, I used to watch WWE with my goddaughter a lot, and she was a big AJ Lee fan, and when they switched it over to AJ being a crazy person who just wanted to kiss boys, she got turned off and has never watched wrestling again. That's not true. She watches it occasionally with me just to humor me, but she's not a fan anymore. And maybe you won't ever again be, which is a bummer for me. So that's been my personal touchstone to, I don't know, I guess a lot of my feminist leanings, but also specifically as it has to do with WWE and the Divas and those sorts of things. So it's been a long time interest of mine, pet peeve. Some people would say, don't do it, cats. Some people, I've been accused of being a white knight, whatever. I don't give a shit. To me, it's just right. It's smart business, too, which is the main thing that always kills me, is I feel like there's a really practical argument for it that gets ignored. Until now, but maybe. So, news-wise, they had a 30-second, 60-second women's match on Monday Night Raw. The social media that WWE loves to hype turned against them again as this hashtag Give Divas a Chance started to trend. That also spun out into, there's a lot of really good fan post think pieces on Cage Side that you should check out, surrounding that, and that I'll link to some of those down here. See, that I can actually do. That's the one WWE trick I can do. And yeah. And then the other thing that sort of was, I don't know that it exactly spun out of that, but it's certainly related. It's become part of the dialogue, is Stephanie McMahon tweeted about Patricia Arquette's speech when she accepted the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, where she made a plea for, equal pay for women. And Steph decided to tweet about that, and AJ Lee took the bait because hashtags are everywhere, and Stephanie had hashtagged it with Use Your Voice, and so AJ used hers and called Stephanie out on some wage inequalities in WWE, and then some also things related to the Give Divas a Chance thing about, saying that despite moving merchandise and driving ratings, the women don't get time on TV and they don't get similar storylines. Part of the problem is that they do get similar storylines, and that the men's storylines often suck too, but they don't get as much variety as the men's storylines do. Similar to how WWE treats other, ethnic and racial minorities in terms of they only get one type of story or two types of stories. So that's a long way around to say. So that's your background heading into, my probably not that hot take on the topic, which, like I said, I think there's a track record of my stance on this well before this hashtag started, and Cage Side stance on this. Gino has been a really, it's one of the things that attracted me to the site initially, is that this is sort of, has been I don't know, we're of like minds on it. I don't want to say anything lofty like it's a crusade or blah, 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 but so anyway, the thing that I was thinking, though, is that there was one of those think pieces that I mentioned on Cage Side was a post about an open letter to Stephanie. AJ obviously targeted Stephanie, partially because Stephanie left the opening there, but also because Stephanie is this, extremely high-ranking woman in the WWE power structure. So I think Stephanie certainly has a role to play in changing this, but I also think it's not fair to put the burden of changing that on her, for a couple of different reasons. One is that Stephanie is a McMahon. She has grown up in the business. She's married to Triple H, yada, yada, yada. So her viewpoint on this is not going to be the same as ours. She has been raised by the man who he and his crony Kevin Dunn, conventional wisdom has it, they're the ones that are leading to 60-second Divas matches and angles where women just are interested in getting with men or each other and blah, blah, blah. So, that's one thing that I always think about with this is, like, there was a little furor around Vicky Guerrero's exit from the company, and the angle that led to that was like poop wrestling or something. I don't even remember. I guess it was mud. Was it alluded to? It was crap. I don't know. It was, it was a very Vince McMahon pro wrestling, go out on your back kind of thing, but also sexist because, guys don't have to get thrown face down in the mud literally on their way out the door all the time. Stephanie got in the mud too. That was sort of the joke. So, but she was very supportive of that, and that's, I feel like she is not a young woman anymore, and she has been raised, and this is her viewpoint on it, and her moral stance on it is that, everybody gets ribbed in pro wrestling, and it's not that bad for women to also be ribbed, which there's some merit to that. I think you can look at, there's different ways that happens in WWE and pro wrestling in general, but so that's one thing. I feel like she is not exactly like an outsider coming in there with a different viewpoint. She's very much, and entitled to her viewpoint that this is the way it is in her world and always has been. The other thing is, a lot of times it's really hard for somebody to be an agent of change like that when they are in there. So let's say that Stephanie, presumably as a woman and as a mother of daughters, and probably just a powerful somebody who's undoubtedly had to deal with sexism, in whether it was just within the WWE boardroom or going into other corporate areas. She's undoubtedly met with some of that and dealt with others who have, including her mother. So let's say that she probably does want a different product to be presented for the female talent on her roster, and that's great. She might not be the best advocate for that, or the most effective advocate for that within the power structure, because sometimes it's really, first of all, she's working within a family business, and second of all, she's been there forever as a result of that. So a lot of times, that's a tricky position. She may not be heard. She might be, that might not be the hill that she wants to die on in terms of trying to get respect and eventually lead this company, which there's some question as to whether or not Wall Street and the investors would really accept Triple H and Stephanie taking over, as wrestling fans all presume they will. And signs point to that's what Vince wants too, but it's not sure that that's what the street wants. So she's got to be careful in navigating that as well. So Long way around is just to say I'm not absolving Stephanie of responsibility here, but I just don't think we should pour all that into it. I think the most powerful people who can make sure that this actually happens is us. And the neat thing about this movement, the Give Divas a Chance thing, is that for a lot of the things, I don't believe that fans can influence change on a big corporation like the WWE without impacting the bottom line. So, cancel WWE Network, the previous hashtag movement, is a perfect example. That died on the vine because nobody actually canceled the WWE Network, or not enough people did to make a difference. It was something. It was a 2-day uproar. It died off. You know, we were all back. Not well, maybe not all. And there's over time there is it's detrimental to have to piss your fans off, and some people are going to go away, and that's why we have lapsed fans and people who used to watch religiously who wouldn't even consider turning it on anymore. But in a snapshot, that was some pissed off people that didn't impact the bottom line. This, I don't think we have to impact the bottom line, is because, or not as immediately as turning off the television, not buying a t-shirt, not going to the arena, because of WWE's image of themselves and fear that they're perceived as a wrestling business, Vince's big fear. If the heat stays on this, and it gets coverage in mainstream outlets like Rolling Stone, and it leads to people like Jon Stewart not wanting to do business with them, or it's just, it stays the WWE trending topic of the week that stays up there all week on the Twitter list, is something that you can't hype on Raw and SmackDown because it's saying that you're, a sexist bastard, essentially. That will stick in their craw, and I think could lead to change. So the onus is on us, the fan, and especially the internet fan here, to keep this negative pressure on them to, the next time they do have a 60-second women's match, or the next time the predominant angle between two female wrestlers is the fact that one of them really wants to kiss a boy or each other, that we have to keep that pressure on. There needs to be another hashtag, and there needs to be another wave of think pieces about how this sucks. And we need to, I don't know, do whatever it is that we can do to get it talked about in places that people other than just wrestling fans read. Because that will, I mean, I think that will exert pressure on them. I don't think they want, I mean, we actually got a response out of Vince McMahon on this, whereas cancel WWE Network was only brought up because somebody asked him about it on a conference call, and then he essentially laughed it off. So I'm not confident that we're gonna see change, but I think that we've got a way to influence that here, and I don't think that way is through Stephanie McMahon. So I hope that Stephanie is in, and I hope and actually believe that Stephanie and Triple H are probably in there arguing for this, because the game has been very influential in creating a different kind of women's product, which is what we see on NXT on Wednesday nights. And he is also the father of daughters. And like I said, without getting into my personal history a lot, so I am helping to raise a female human being, and that changes your perspective on things. And I think it certainly has to for Hunter. So I think both of them are probably in there fighting for this, but they're fighting for a lot of things, and this may not be the thing that that they can or should make their #1 priority. So what we can do to keep the heat on in the public arena, and like I said, the great thing is it doesn't mean we have to stop being fans. We don't have to make either sacrifices or empty promises. We can just keep the heat on it. The other thing that I want to say, and I'm running long because sometimes I do that, despite my self-driven mandate to only go 10 minutes, and that just took 10 seconds to say that, and then I'm explaining it, so shut up, Sean. I think we should have similar movements for other things too. It might be too late because we might never see the New Day on television again, but the next time they try to roll out a gimmick like that, or maybe, and it might be worth a try now. I mean, I think there should be a hashtag, Black characters matter, or I don't know what it is. I'm not saying that I'm the guy that come up with the marketing tweets, but uh, this is the way we can sort of shame WWE into maybe changing some of their practices that disturb so many of us. And it doesn't change the creative style and those kind of things, because that's where you have to stop watching, I think, to really get them to treat different kinds of characters differently and to pay more attention to ongoing storylines and storylines with depth. You know, that there's not enough agreement among fans that what they're doing now is bad in that regard. And I don't think that's something that they need to be worried about public opinion turning on them with. As long as the ratings are up and those kind of things, then that's fans having a voice, and they can write it off with their usual slant. But this kind of stuff, social issue stuff, women's rights, the way they treat minority characters, those are the kind of things that can get some traction and can, for lack of a better word, hurt them so that they have to look at doing it a different way. Will they do it a different way? I don't know. But I think if we keep the heat on, there's a much better chance of it than if we just try to get Stephanie to say something or whatever. So that's my take on hashtag GiveDivasAChance, and I certainly hope they do. I'm proud to be part of a community on the internet that advocates for that, and I implore you to continue advocating for that. So, I don't think my Batista sign off is appropriate here, but I'm going to go with adapting the sign off of whoever the smart fans turn on at Royal Rumble every year. So believe that.